What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I hope everybody's having a great week, a great pre-weekend, I guess you could say. I definitely am. Had a few technical difficulties, but we adapt and overcome, as they say in the military. So tonight, man, we got a great guest, man. He's a he's a songwriter. He's a rapper. He's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. You name it, he can do it, or has done it, or is doing it right now. Mr. J Locke. I'm that very excited to have this young man on the platform, man. I just want to pick his brain. But for those of you who may not be familiar with Mr. Locke, I'm going to give him a moment to kind of reintroduce himself and just give a little background of who he is and some of the things that he has going on at this present moment. So, with that being said, sir, it's on you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that. Um,
Absolutely.
and thank you for that introduction. I gotta say, it's pretty accurate. I either am currently doing it, have done it, and yeah, I don't do Windows, but everything else I'm pretty open to. But yeah, shout out to your listeners and your viewers. My name is J Lock. I am a recording artist, like you said, songwriter, entrepreneur. Lately, I would add mental health activist on that list as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
So, how long have you been at it, man? Like, I know that I tell people all the time that when I was growing up, man, nobody ever taught me that I could own my own. Like I could create
right,
a movement and people would actually support it and consume it or whatever the case may be. And so it was kind of later on in my life that I realized that this was something possible for me. Um,
right.
with that being said, man, how long? When did the story begin? This whole businessman entrepreneurial spirit. When did that come about for you?
I think it's always been there. Um, I think two things set us back overall in our community. One is lack of identity. A lot
Mm,
of us, when we are children, we don't fully understand what's in our bloodline. So there's
right,
things inside your bloodline, before, and no one tells you your history. A lot of us, we don't know what our great grandfathers and our great great grandfathers was doing. So that that connection somehow has to find itself in our life, and
right.
sometimes a little later. So we have examples of who we are, right? Like just your thought process. Like I was
Mhm.
always, even as a child, trying to figure it out. Knowing that there was more to it, just not knowing what it was, and not being able to put my finger on it. And all the adults around you are trying to figure it out themselves.
Right.
Be it addictions, be it trauma or just mental health. Really, people are fighting their demons too, so they're not able to really nurture you in your own growth process and help you tap into what your identity is. So a lot of times we find out late, or depending on your situation, your mental health capacity, right? So I've always kind of tinkered with it. Music, I've always, beating on something, beating on couches, walls.
Right.
um, my mother tells a story when I was a kid how I was so short. They used to, for all my older heads who used to watch Fantasy Island, they used to call me Tattoo because I was like real short.
Right. Right.
And one day I was at a church service, and they asked, "Did anybody have a song they want to sing?" And I was so short, you couldn't even see me. But I didn't tell my mother. I just walked up and sung a song on the microphone. Took the microphone from the guy and
Yeah.
sung a song that I made up. And he asked me what my name was. He didn't understand when I said Mr. Lock at probably 8, 9. He thought I said Master Lock, and that's how he introduced me. So yeah, that spark, that drive to the microphone or to create music was always there.
That's amazing. A lot of times, we all have our interesting, stories how we get into things, and
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, as you went along, like how long was it between that moment and the moment that you felt like you were ready for us to hear it? Or were you at, did you feel like you were at that point even then,
Nah.
all the way up to?
Uh, Not on the level of ready for the world. Here's one thing I've learned: you can't rush the process.
Right.
Right. Like
Right.
those steps to destiny. You can't avoid it, because if you avoid something, or you're fearful of something, or there's a level you try to skip, you're not gonna achieve it, because you just prolong it. Right. You need that. So I started like the usual, in the at school, battling and kind of honing the skills, perfecting the
Right.
craft, and as fate would have it, I was, like I said, I was always attached to it. I just never quit. I ran into my music family, grassroots organization, shout out, and a collective of MCs, DJs, hustlers, and crooks. and
All
we
right.
just and we just never stopped. Or at least I never stopped. And we just, had my first record deal opportunity with Epic Records at an early age, and even before that, had the opportunity to write for um, Kedar Entertainment, which at that time the artist on that label was Chi Ali, believe it or not, and
Wow.
Erica Badu,
Okay.
and
Okay.
they hit me back and it was like, "We want you to write." And I was like, "Man, pump that!" And I didn't hit him up, not knowing that that's where the money was. I had opportunities, right, for Erica Badu. My first demo I sent out, and I didn't know the business. So,
So you missed that. So you feel like you missed that opportunity.
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
not knowing the business, you can't skip the process. If I had learned the business, that was the moment, right? That was the exit off of the struggle and the being a broke artist. It was.
Mhm. So what was your vision at that point? Or were you just writing? Like some people, they fall into certain genres based off the type of material that they're creating. So like were you specifically and intentionally writing in a certain vein to be a certain type of artist, or were you just purely inspired? Whatever inspired you at that given moment, that's what you wrote about, whatever, whatever. Was there any, continuity to what you were doing at that time?
My creative process has always been authentic.
Hmm.
It had it's never had influence from whatever the world was talking about, or the way the world was moving. Like, it's always been a personal story. So yeah, I've never followed the trends. Um, and here's the thing about North Carolina, and I'll debate this to anybody. North Carolina has a very clean sound.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? If you look at the artists that come out of North Carolina, your J. Cole's, your Rhapsodies, your the Babies, your um, Fantasia.
Yeah.
We we we
Okay.
we seem, we seem to make music, even back to your Jodeci's. We seem to make music that the world can enjoy and relate to.
Hmm.
And I think that is the success of our sound. Like, everybody got their sound. Like, when you're listening to a West Coast artist, when you're listening to an Atlanta artist, when you're listening to a New York artist. But North Carolina, you can't really. It's not like we have a sound that can't be played on any in any market.
Right.
and that's our advantage. We got a real clean sound. So with that, I've been able to tour all over the country, and from New York to Kansas City, Missouri, and get the same welcome because good music is good music,
Right.
especially when I got my band and we rocking out. So yeah.
That's what's up. So I was gonna ask you, the North Carolina environment, is it a supportive environment? Is it do artists kind of big up each other, or is it more you over here, I'm over here, they over there type of thing?
I think that's more so the vein right now that North Carolina's in. But I am looking to take a stab at that. You know, if North Carolina had the family oriented way of Atlanta, we would be different. We
Mm,
feeding off each other's fan base. But I was talking to a young boy yesterday who has a heavy fan base in North Carolina. Young, he got the sound of today, and I was like, I just reached out to him. I was like, let's do some work because we do need that cohesiveness. We do need
right.
to bring that together. And with that being said, radio needs to support like Texas radio and Atlanta radio. Like you hear more Atlanta artists on radio in Atlanta than you hear anybody. And that
Right.
is the success story of Atlanta. Atlanta supports its own.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
same as New York, you know.
I'm not trying to you know out your age or anything like that, but you got the white beer popping, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
so do people tend to place limitations on you or judge you based off of that and say, oh well, this is a young man's game, or what I'm saying, you might not appeal to what we're trying to do or whatever. Like how what's your experience as far as that? Is there a lot of pushback, or have you found that it's somewhat easier to move around?
I haven't gotten pushback yet. I haven't gotten
Okay.
pushback. But with that being said, I've gotten pushback my whole career
Mhm.
because the sound is different. And so, like, when I almost signed to Epic, that was at a time before the South got hot. So they really didn't know how to package that sound and that brand. But it hit me whenever hip hop turned 50 and we did like the 50th anniversary. It kind
Mhm.
of hit me like, and I'm not 50, by the way, but
Right.
it kind of hit me like it can't stay the same. It ain't a young man game no more. If you look at the last so it's very much a talent game. It's still,
Mm,
we know what the private prison system's for, but when you're talking about good music, it's still very much based on talent.
got you. Got you. Um, moving forward to the entrepreneurship vein of your journey. Um,
Yes.
what genre of entrepreneurship, like what are you into when it comes to business and branding, and when it comes to the J-Lock movement? What type of things does J-Lock uh promote and sell to the consumer? What are the type of things that he's into?
Well, I've been a hustler for a while, right?
Mhm.
Just natural hustler. For me, it flipped, which is everything you could think of. I never pimped, but on the other side of youthfulness, right? Like I've been outside. Let's just say that. But
Okay.
what flipped for me is when I stopped looking at it as a hustle and started looking at business as business.
Right.
That was the click for me because hustle is I'm trying to sell you something one time. I'm outside and I got the jacket on and I'm opening it up with watches. Like
Right. Right.
it's gonna turn green, but I got you right now, right?
Right.
Um, the business mind says, how can I create a relationship with this customer and provide a service or a product that they come back, which makes my job easier. Um, so before COVID, same year, but a little before, they shut the city down, I opened up a beard product line called Alpha by J Locke.
Okay.
And that was more so based around my fan base for my music. And
Mm.
matter of fact, this is the bottom. This is the latest one. Let me let you see that.
Okay. Okay.
So does that business meet hustle? What I did was I got at that time a couple bottles of my beard line. I sold out first week, and I hit the streets. I got a little blue bag, hit a little blue bag, and was outside going to the barbershops, going to
You breaking up a little
oh,
bit.
and can you hear me now?
You
So
still kind of distorted.
I'm sorry. That I can do is that's good.
That's a little better. A little better.
So that's to and it shut everything down. What I did
Right.
was I started selling my product like Avon, like a wholesale, and that
Mm-hmm.
took us all over the country. And then that took me with that movement. We eventually opened up a kiosk in the mall, and then that kiosk turned into the first black-owned hat store in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Wow.
And after that, we made history. We was in the books. It was like, you know, it kind of moved on with that. And then because we were so successful, we was too successful, they shut me down. The mall did.
Mm.
And yeah. They shut me down. And after that, I just kind of put it together and did a couple of vending opportunities, and traveled and sold hats, bid product, and got back into the music game. And here we are. First album in 8 years. I just dropped February.
Nice. Nice.
And now with my business experience, I approached it like a business and kind of just created my own lane. So and around that time, dealing with everything, I realized that it had took a toll on my mental health and having to self-evaluate what I was doing, and then that took me down the journey of childhood trauma and all of these things. And then I realized, yo, as a black man, we don't talk about what we dealing with. We just take it. We just hold on to that
That's a
until
fact.
we lose ourselves, or we hurt somebody because we've been holding this pressure and this weight. So
Right.
that created a journey in itself. And my goal is to have men, young boys, women talking about the pressure that we deal with. And 'cause you
Mm.
can't really be there for your family and yourself without that, right? Like without being able to even process, without having those kind of issues. So, that led me into talking about childhood trauma, about and how generational curses as well.
You breaking up. You kind of breaking up again.
I'm
You still kind of distorted.
that better.
Not really. It's still kind of distorted. But I mean, I you're still kind of distorted. But I hear what you're saying, bro. Like one thing I tell people all the time, sometimes we're able to do a thing well, right? And people tell us, hey, you do that particular thing well. And so you go out and you
Right.
start doing that thing, right? And
Right.
you feel like that's your end, that's your niche, that's what your purpose is for the rest of your life. But
Right.
what it actually turns out to be is just a vehicle to the thing that's actually
Right.
going to sustain you. So like you,
Right.
without even trying, you start out with the music, and then it leads to the beard
Right.
appointment, and then the hats, and
Right.
then as you
Right.
go along, you come to come to grips with your mental health and that type of thing.
Right.
So I got a saying is that the thing isn't the thing. It ain't always the thing ain't always the thing. You know what I mean? It's a
Right. Right. Right.
God has a God has a way of kind of like using that to take you to the
Yeah.
place where you're supposed to be. So tell me
Right.
this. So tell me this. What was the if you could name one thing, what was one thing that you realized about yourself that you maybe didn't know about yourself until you started till you started going out there? What's the most glaring thing that you learned about yourself that you didn't know about yourself prior to? What did you learn about yourself?
The biggest thing that I learned myself, which was the hardest lesson I've had to learn, two, two things. One is that I had childhood trauma that I didn't realize I had, and because I'm the guy that
I guess we had a little technical. You went away. Now you back. Can you hear me?
okay, yes,
Okay.
I said I'm the one that had I'm the person that everybody comes to when they going through something. I'm the person
Right.
that have those conversations, and they I talk people off the
Okay. So we having a little technical difficulties, but he was saying that he's usually the one that comes out that usually pours out to other folks, and that's got to be tough because as you're pouring out a great so much. Nobody's pouring in, and so that has to take a toll on you. You know what I'm saying? And not just in his vein, but as a lot of us are parents, a lot of us are fathers and mothers, and we raise our children, and our children come to us with their
here.
concerns and their type of that type of thing. Yeah, he's back. But yeah, we deal with a lot of stuff as parents and as authority figures. People.
Hello, hello.
Uh, yeah, hello. Can you hear us? Hear me? Can you hear me? You still can't hear them. But like, yeah, like I was saying, like, a lot of parents and also as authority figures, people that are our peers or under us or that we're responsible for or our children, they come to us with their concerns and their hurts and things of that nature. And we are in essence healers. You know what I'm saying? We're healers, we're counselors, we're pastors, we're coverers, we are protectors. You know what I mean? And that requires a humongous amount of energy, a humongous amount of mental toughness, mental energy and physical energy, a lot of time. And so over time, if you're constantly pouring out, you get to a point where you're like, man, where does my support come from? Where does my help come from? Who can I go to? Because it seems like everybody around me depends on me. But who do I depend on? Who do I go to say, hey, I'm not feeling quite right today, or hey, I'm in need of XYZ. Who can you help me? So that has to be an enormous weight for Jay and anybody who has any level of accountability for anybody, even if it's just one person, even if it's just one child. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's an enormous weight to carry because you literally, at various points, you may literally hold people's lives in your hand. The decision that you make, the advice that you give, the counsel that you provide could determine whether that person sometimes lives or dies, makes the right decision or the wrong decision. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's something that, I do not take for granted, and that's why, I definitely believe in prayer. I definitely believe in meditation. I definitely believe in communing with my creator and allow my creator to give me wisdom, lead me, give me the peace to make sound and wise decisions. Because sometimes, even in the Bible, it says there's a way that seems right, but ultimately it leads to destruction, which makes it even more important because you don't want people's blood on your hand. I don't know why I'm going so deep down in this rabbit hole, but we have, that's why it's so important to commune with our creator, to communicate with our creator, to speak to the one that comforts us, that protects us, that keeps us safe, that keeps us whole, that gives us peace at any given time. Um, it's like I said, especially as anybody who may own a business or has children or is married or, maybe a military person, I don't know, whatever, it's important to commune with your creator. Um, I have experienced a few things here um, in the last couple of weeks that have really uh, forced me to kind of look within myself to uh, be honest about how I feel about certain people in certain situations. I had to really reflect on the type of relationships that I had built with people because the trust was tested. My loyalty was tested. My ability to be a friend was tested. You know what I mean? And so I think that's Jay coming back. Um,
Yes.
it was tested.
Okay.
But
I apologize.
yeah, 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 that's good. That's good. So before you went off, I was just telling people, it's how important it is to commune with our creator, whomever
Yes.
you believe your creator to be. Because like you were saying, you are the go-to guy when people are in need, emotionally, spiritually. You are constantly pouring out, and after a certain point you look around and you're like, man, what if I need XYZ?
Um,
What if I need
um,
who's pouring into me? Who's pouring back into me? You know what I'm saying? Who's girding me up? Who's praying for me? Who's being that sounding board or that shoulder to cry on or whatever. It's a huge mantle to carry when you are dependent on, even if you're a husband or a wife or a parent
mhm,
or a boss, a supervisor, anytime you are responsible for a person or a group of people. You know what I'm saying? That there's a certain level of soundness that you have to consistently maintain in order
Yeah.
to give effective counsel, in order to truly help people. So, with that being said, that's why I say communing with your creator is so important. But I'm not gonna steal your thunder. You were saying how people, you know, in your space come to you for counsel. So continue to talk about that experience with us.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. Like when you're that person, a lot of times it does not allow you the opportunity to be weak or to show weakness. Because
Hmm.
if you're the person that everyone goes to, it's almost like if you lose it, who are they going to turn to? Who are they going, and that was the driving force a lot of times for us as men, as or leaders, even the women sometimes are those bosses that are, the providers of their family, and the providers not only for their family or immediate, but also distant.
Hmm.
Um, they fall in the same place. Like that weight, I had at one point it was like I was getting cash app requests for like, $200-300 with not even, telling me what you need it for. And so I had to have these conversations like, yo, how do you think this money come? Like, who you think I am? Nino Brown? Like who you think
Right.
this is? You,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like the idea that, Jay got it. But what happened was those conversations started to be less about how I'm doing and more about what I need. How I'm doing became an afterthought at the end of the conversation, right before you say, "All right, thank you. You doing all right?
Hmm.
Okay,
Right.
good, good."
Right.
It's like so. It isolates you, and at the time, being a single black man, it's a beautiful thing to come into a situation like that when you have a significant other, because that's your backbone, that's your sounding board. That hopefully that's your person that got your back. But I didn't have that, so it became very much everybody around me was around me because of what they could get. I mean, even if it was employees, like there's a reason for you being in my presence, and it's not because you just here because I'm just a cool guy. You know what I'm saying? It's you getting paid something. So
Right.
yeah.
So being a creative, what I'm saying, the way that you are, you have if you're anything like me, you're constantly on ideas and concepts
Oh
are
yeah.
constantly flowing through your mind at any given moment. Like you might be sitting here right now thinking of a master plan, as Rakim used to say. You know
I
what I'm
started
saying?
earlier. I started earlier
Yeah.
today. I came up with something today. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that in and of itself can be nerve wracking sometimes, because sometimes, if you're anything like me, you might have an idea in the midst of an idea, like you're doing something
Oh,
and you get an
sure.
idea. So
Absolutely.
how do you manage prioritizing the things that you are trying to do creatively? Do you have Does one thing have priority or over the other? Do you have a schedule? How do you do that?
Um, Everything is seasons, right? Like the music thing. Music today is a byproduct. So it allows me the opportunity to leverage music for business ventures. So right now is just get out, but it's also you can also make money and sustain your way of life with it as well. More so through the gigging and the shows and things of that nature. But like the event, the funny thing about things that I create are they all can kind of coexist. So it's not like, I'm an artist that I don't know, I've mastered this special chicken nugget and I'm going, you know what I mean? Like it's all a part of. a grand scheme that can all kind of move in sync, and it doesn't um take away from any of the brands that I have. Like my beard product, that's a no brainer, right? Like,
Hmm.
uh, so it's like that. With the hats. Like I wear hats anyway. And because I believe that because my background with music is kind of the driving force of the culture. You know, like we got our, most hip hop at its beginning phase got it from the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at Run DMC, how they was dressing, well, how the gangsters and Hollis Queens was dressing. Like
Right.
that kind of became the mirror of hip hop culture, and so that's why culture is so important. It's different when we control the narrative of our culture as
Right.
opposed to others who weaponize our culture, and that's a whole different conversation within itself, right? But me just being creative and me being comfortable in my skin, and it's almost like the black experience is not what it used to be. Like, I wasn't back in the 50s and 60s, but just from what I gather, it was just a richness. It was almost like this pride to be black and to be
Right.
upright and to walk with dignity and to carry yourself a certain kind of way. Because of everything that the world tried to convince you was, you know, you cared more about how you dress. You cared more about how your kids dress. Like nowadays, I'm still trying to figure
Mhm.
out if you wearing your bonnet outside, what's the occasion that you take it off? You know what I mean? like now
Yeah.
it's just like we don't have that sense of pride anymore. But when I opened up the hat store and we started selling clothes and we started kind of showing examples of how a man should move, um, you would have all walks in my store. Like it almost had like a barbershop vibe. You got the old heads in there, and then you got the young boys trying to figure it out because
Right.
nobody told them. You know, it's funny. Men, we have a biological clock. Most women wouldn't know that. Like we wake up one day and we like, okay, I need to switch. I need to take this jersey off and it's
Yeah.
fitted,
Yeah.
and I need to kind of
Yeah.
figure out what's age appropriate. And normally there's no guideline for that. So they would come to me and ask me, what's the move? I we what and they try on hats, and in that moment you get to kind of speak to these young men and kind of guide them. And that could be anything from parenting to finance. So
Hmm. Yeah. That's an interesting point because many of us, like you say, you get to that point where you're like, okay, I gotta put this certain, like you said, put the
yeah,
jerseys away and maybe
yeah,
grab me a linen suit or
yeah, yeah,
a button up, some slacks and go from jeans to khakis, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
from forces to hard bottoms, you know.
yeah, yeah.
So I definitely feel you on that. Um, so going forward, like if you could have it your way, what would what would your movement be at its peak? You know what I'm saying? What would you want it to be for your tribe? Or
I
or better yet, the people that you feel like you've been assigned to.
I say this jokingly, but there is some truth to it. World
Mhm.
domination.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
uh, you know what I would like for my people, and when I say my people, of course it starts with, like you said, like the bloodline, right? But what I want for all of us is the ability to sustain our way of life.
Mm.
We generate so much wealth in this country, um, to receive so little of the reward from it.
Mhm.
And I think that is because my personal opinion. I think when we integrated, that was a trap. I think we should
Wow.
have kept that. I think we should have kept that money in our community. If we think about it, if we kept the that pride, that dignity that we had coming out of the civil rights movement, how we dress, the cars we buy, like that sense of I'm black and I'm proud. What was that James Brown record? I'm black and I'm proud. Like
Right.
if we
Right.
kept that and kept it in our community, it would be a different America.
Hmm.
It would be a different America. So we have to get back to that. But the first step that we have to do is it goes back to mental health. It
Right.
goes back to the fathers going back to the homes. You know what I'm saying? Like it go those two things right there will change the trajectory of the black community, the black experience in America.
Right.
So music is the soundtrack to our life. But it's bigger than that. It's bigger than rap. It's bigger than It's bigger than the entertainment part. It's good to have those moments where you enjoying your life and just living, but it's time to get back to ownership, and it's time to get back into the homes, and it's time to get back to be, being who we are without the trauma. So, generational curses are passed down because we haven't fixed that generational curse in us, and we extend it to our offsprings.
Right.
So I feel it's everybody' duty that hears this interview to really look inward and say, what am I struggling with? What am I dealing with? And it stops with me, and do the work so that if you're an alcoholic, alcohol doesn't plague your grandkids and your kids, you know, and so on and so on. Like let your generational curse end with you. That's my that's
Mm.
that's my proposal to anybody that get to hear this and see this. Let your generational curse end with you.
Wow.
You leave this planet, let that generational curse leave, but replace it with healthy intent and wealth and all of those things that we didn't start with. Like let that trauma go and teach your kids how to deal with their emotions and teach them how to deal with struggle and pain because it ain't getting no easier.
Right. Right. So, how optimistic are you that what you provide can be a catalyst for change?
Because God gave it to me. I'm pretty good. I'm solid on that. Um, anyone that hasn't started their reason for being on this planet still have a chance as long as they're still on this planet. Like I'm not dead, so I can still wake up tomorrow if I wake up tomorrow and get to it, and that's the
That's a fact.
mindset.
That's a
Yeah,
fact.
yeah.
That's a fact.
We lose our battles because we lose the battle in the mind before we even make a move, before we even take a step. We've been convinced ourselves we can't do it, and you can't
Right.
if you say that, right? But if you get up and like, yo, I'm going to ignore my fears. I'm going to ignore what I don't have because everybody got to wait and get this. Yeah, I'm gonna start next year. I'm gonna get my money right. Like your bill's gonna take a year off for you to get your money right, so you can get to it.
Right. Right.
That's not how it
Right.
works.
Right.
You gotta get it. And you gotta trust and have faith that it can be done.
Right. I
For
think
real, for real.
particular. I think particularly for especially people of color, like myself, right? I grew up single parent, you know, highly educated mother. However, it was just her, you
Hmm.
know. Um, so needless to say, that money was tight. I couldn't
Sure.
always have the latest whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you had to make do, right?
Right.
So when I got to a point where I was old enough to make my own money, I was in the military, making my own money. I'm living in the barracks. I'm not paying no rent or whatever. So I'm like, man, listen, those J's that I wanted, those ones that I wanted, those Tims that I wanted, those
Mhm.
particular brand of whatever, I'm getting it. I'm
Right.
getting it. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have it, coming up. So over the years, I think it became a somewhat of an addiction for me. It became like an impediment for me because um you go without for so long and then you feel
Right.
like you got all the money in the world. You got more money at one time than you've ever had. And you don't know, nobody's taught you about saving, nobody's taught you about budgeting. Definitely nobody taught you about investing. And so
Right.
the money is going out fast as it's faster than it's coming in. It's going
Right.
out fast.
Yeah.
You spend the times matter of fact, the times that you don't have money, you're planning what you're going to get when you get it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
it's already gone in
It's
your head,
already
in your
spent.
mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, like, I say all that to say, um, I think that the narrative has to change from the source. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? Uh, Understanding that we can't be impulsive.
Right.
And that's where I was. I was impulsive. Like, look, and then I realized that I was buying clothes to look good while I was out buying clothes. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Of
It
course.
wasn't for
Looking
it
for
wasn't for a purpose. It wasn't for a plan. It wasn't nothing but to just. And I think
yeah.
and I think that's what a lot of men, black men, struggle with. But what do you say to that?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you first made the statement, like when you got it, you felt like you had to have it. When you know what I mean? So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, who told you that you needed it? The culture
Mm,
told you that you needed it. You
mm,
know what I'm saying? The culture is manufactured by the same people who make these sneakers, who pay these rappers and pay these ball players to wear the sneaker and look really fly on the commercial so that they can make money. So that is, if they can pay LeBron James $1 billion, how much you think that should generating his image
right.
and like. So it's like, once we get that concept, okay, you got us, right? Okay, I'm a sneakerhead. I did that. The failure comes in when we pass that curse to our kids. Cause we
Mhm.
got baby J's. We got our kid ain't nothing but 3 weeks old. He got some little baby J's, some little soft bottom.
Right.
Like, yo, what? This so that becomes how we continue those we branding for the next generation. He don't even know what that shoe is. It could be one of them old school plain white ones. He wouldn't know the difference. But because he with us, I got my J's on. He got matching J's. So having that wisdom to say, okay, nah, we're not gonna even gonna start that trend. We're not even gonna get you addicted to fashion, and because whoever controls the narrative controls the people.
Right.
So if I grow up and J's is important, you see where it's headed now, where you got like celebrities with their pants sagging. We know what that means in the prison system. That you
Yeah.
got men wearing dresses and things like that. So because I'm a slave to the trend and the culture that's manufactured to set me back, how many people gonna jump on that board and ride with it, even though it goes against their inner mind? Like, I
Right.
know this wrong. I know I ain't, and then what will you do for it? Will you steal for it? Will you kill for it? You remember when they was killing cats, making cats run their sneakers? Come up
Yeah,
off of that. Running for their
absolutely.
Avirex jackets and
Absolutely.
it ain't that serious. But because we need it, we gotta have it because I can't fit in. But what that say? That's weakness. That's insecurities. That's a desire and a need to fit in at any cost, even if it costs me jail time. So
Right.
we gotta change those narratives. We can't be dying for fabric. Like that don't make no sense.
Right. Right. And and that's what we kind of combat in the mindset, more than
Yeah,
more than anything. Um,
that's it.
absolutely. That's it. Um, so kind of back to the music. What do you have musically? What do you have? What are you working on right now? Like what's in the can for you right now?
So I got the album, the EP out now, called "The Return of King Jaffe," and it's a very mature sound. You know what I mean? Like I'm rapping about life, my life experiences. I'm
Hmm.
talking about it's okay to love a woman. It's okay to be holy, but if you slap me, I can't guarantee I'm gonna turn the other cheek. It might go left. I'm righteous, but you catch me off guard, you might get that jab back. But it's
Yeah.
realistic. It's the thing about gospel music in the past is they spent so much time trying to be perfect or trying to at least look perfect,
Right.
and then when you get cussed out by one of the artists or you hear your pastor cussing, it break your heart. It takes you to a whole nother level. Like that man ain't human.
Right.
So I want to do a realistic understanding of what this faith walk means, and that's what I'm about. Like I'm a black man in America, and I ain't completely 100% arrived. I ain't in heaven yet, so I'm still on earth, and I'm flawed, and I'm patient, and I'm all these contradictions, right? But that's what make me human, and that's what I talk about in my music.
Yeah, that's an awesome way to go. Um, and nowadays, ministry has kind of evolved into that, and I think it's a great thing
Yeah.
when those that are given the mantle of speaking amongst the people are
Mhm.
transparent. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? They're transparent and
yeah,
they're given the opportunity to bleed openly.
yeah, yeah.
You
Because
know what
it's
I'm saying?
frustrating
Because
trying to be perfect.
right.
It's,
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
frustrating. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Nah, it's you see this image in the church, like you have to have it together all the time. You always, you know, oily. And you ain't oily when you first wake up. Like, like we want to live our life like we in a 24/7 revival. And that's just not realistic. But to
Right.
a baby in Christ, a baby believer, he walking around like condemning himself if he stomp his toe and he say a curse word,
Right.
not
Right.
knowing you cussing the whole way on the interstate at traffic.
Right. Right.
like, like it has to. We have to lead by example. And if cursing people out is something you struggle with, make that transparent because you're helping someone. If you're dealing with, you lust for women or whatever it is, like whatever you're dealing with, be upfront with it because you're helping someone. If you're in a
Right.
position, and
Right.
yeah, like I just think we need to see these examples, and then be responsible. If you're dealing with something that's a little too much, maybe you need to sit down for a minute and deal with it. Doesn't mean it's over. It just means you got to come back to it.
I truly believe that, and I've just kind of came across this understanding recently that just as much as we are accountable for the blessings that we receive, we're
Hmm.
accountable for the things that happen to us that are bad too. Like the hard trials that we have. There's a
Yeah,
responsibility. We have a responsibility to be um, transparent with that, because even in even that is given to us for a reason. Even
sure.
those disappointments,
Yeah,
those wrongs, those hurts, that shame is given to us for a purpose, just like the gifts, the talents, and the abilities, the
absolutely.
blessings. And so a lot of people are not reaching their full potential, or not being getting the proper um what's up, cuz? Um the proper counsel, because people are only telling the good stuff that happened to them.
Right,
But I need to hear, some of the trials that you have, because you're giving me the impression that it's all peaches and cream, when
right,
I know that ain't true, because I'm dealing with whatever I'm dealing with. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And I'm feeling inferior to you, thinking that you got it all worked out, and I'm trying to figure out how you got it all worked out. But meanwhile, you struggling with what you struggling with.
right. And that was the thing. Like, I got a song on my EP, The Return of King Joffrey, called Heartbreak. And that song was inspired by my first therapy session. And
Mm,
it was by far one of the hardest days, because I had to release everything that I was dealing with. And for men, being vulnerable or feeling vulnerable is, is a hard place to be. Um and it inspired that record. So if y'all get a chance, go check that out, Heartbreak. And it really depicts the journey of the process, in a real way.
right.
So yeah. But
That's amazing.
I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned, well, that was confirmed, was in that process I was alone.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like that was, after all these people that you've done stuff for, all these people that you've helped, all these people you inspired, you alone. And it was like, yeah, that's rough. Because the therapist, he said, okay, so this is a journey, right? Who do you have that's going to be your accountability partner? I was like, I don't know. I don't trust nobody enough to even share this with. Crazy. So,
right,
that's life.
right,
That was life. That was life.
right. I listen. I get it. I understand. That's the first step, being able to be vulnerable, feel vulnerable enough, because we just don't trust anybody. We're suspicious of everything and everybody. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? And we're taught
that's
to be
because,
that way.
well, when you realize that the times in your life that you have has been weaponized, one of one of um women's greatest weapons, right, is to take that thing, like when y'all arguing,
Hmm.
and take that thing and turn it against you, and bring it back up.
Right, right,
And they say all is fair in love and war, but when you do that to a man, you completely shut that door for him to ever tell you anything else on
right.
this in this life or the next.
Ah,
Like,
right,
dude is done. He's done, because that's not up for discussion. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like that's there is a level and a limit. And if a man love you and trust you enough to speak to you about it, and you take that man and you put that in motion, he gonna shut down. And once he shut down, it's like that door don't ever open back up.
right. That's a fact. That is a fact. That is a fact. So, in the vein of counseling, like, And this, I only got a couple more questions because we kind of went over our time, but it's all good. Um, the counseling, being able to be transparent and actually see yourself for the first time in a more clear and sober way.
Mhm.
Has that has that had any effect on your music as well as how you do business and just how you operate in that space? And
It,
if
it
so, how does it?
it allowed me to have grace for myself
Mm,
to the point where I could have grace for others who hurt me or disrespected me.
mhm.
Because what happens is you have to be in a position where you can see yourself in order to allow yourself to heal, to start your healing process. But as you heal, you start to be able to see why other people were the way they were, and it gives you the ability to give them grace. And
Right,
so what you do is when you get to that point, you grow up. You got you're a full adult, and a lot of people don't look at themselves enough. Like if you're an individual that look at the flaws of people without seeing your what you do to it, you'll never ever reach a level of maturity where you can fully be whole
right.
because it starts with you first.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is amazing. And that's absolutely right. Um, Transparency and vulnerability is key.
Yeah,
And that's just what it boils down to.
but that starts with you.
Um, Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, this is my last question for you, sir. This is a question that I ask all my guests, and I would just want you to take a moment and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me.
Okay.
Um, and here's the question: what would have to happen in your life if it hasn't happened already for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
I heard one of my people say that I want to leave this world empty. I don't want to take anything that God gave me with me,
Hmm.
you know? And I want to me, success looks like legacy, making sure my kids are good, putting my kids in a position to, I don't want to just throw a bunch of money at them. I want to throw money and wisdom so that um, the saga continues, right? Like that legacy. Because one thing that I realize is that I'm wrestling with is you don't want that name to fade out in 2 or 3 generations. Whatever you built, you want it to still stand. And you look at the Rockefellers, you look at the names that have gone centuries, and they still are who they are. I want that for my bloodline. I want to eliminate the generational curses. I want them to end with me, and I want to replace that with success and knowledge of self and wisdom and believers. And I want that to last. I wanted to ride this thing out for the rest of
Okay.
the generations. I want them to be straight off of what I leave in place.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. We went over a little bit. I want to be sensitive to your time. I appreciate you coming on, man, and I want you to know that there's an open invitation. Anytime you want to come on here to talk
Thank
about
you.
anything, promote anything, this is a open space for you to come to
Thank you.
do. I just want to put that out there first. If
Thank you.
somebody wanted to get in touch with you to book you or to just ask you questions or whatever have you, how can they get in touch with you?
On TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, I am J Locke, which is IAMJLOCKE. You can reach out to management team. Just hit me up. Check out the album. Like I said, it's called The Return of King Jaffe. It is on all digital outlets. Definitely check that out. Not only listen to it, but share it. Share it. And we're getting out on the road soon, so definitely stay connected. If you haven't seen my show live, definitely come out and support me in your city. It's pretty amazing. I have enough material on my own for a 2 hour set. So we're doing some amazing concerts. Kingdom
Okay,
work.
absolutely. Well, Mr. Locke, I appreciate you coming on, man. I wish you much blessings on everything that you have currently and everything that you've done. And I wish you much blessings for the things you have yet to think about and have
Thank
yet
you.
to create. I wish you much blessings on it, man. Is
Thank
there
you.
anything that you wanna leave the people with before we sign off?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And thank you for what you do, because for the culture, we need you, right? You're like that beacon that we can share all of this information with. So salute to you. Um,
Absolutely.
I just want to think. I just want to encourage everybody. I think the biggest thing that I've said tonight is to let your generational curses die with you. I just want to reiterate that. Like, that's the first time I've ever said that, but it makes a lot of sense to me, and I just want to push that narrative to the people.
Absolutely. Well, again, I appreciate you, man, and this definitely won't be the last time you have to
Sure.
have you come on. We definitely will
Thank
be in contact soon, man. You definitely have value, man. You definitely have something
you.
to give, and
Thank you.
even though we talked for an hour, I believe we only scratched the surface. So,
Oh boy, it gets
yeah,
deeper. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Definitely,
So, with that
definitely
being
check out the
said,
album
man,
though. Check out the EP, and let me know what you think about it.
absolutely, absolutely, the return of King Jaffe.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So with that being said, man, I want to wish you a good night, man, and an awesome weekend, man. You take care.
Thank you, my brother. Likewise.
I appreciate it. There you have it, guys. Another amazing, amazing guest. Another, with a lot to offer, man. Shout out to J Lock and his whole team. Look out for his EP. It's out now. The Return of King Jaffe. Um, Listen, we need more mature men like that, disciplined men who have purpose. To, as he said, eradicate these generational curses, man. These frivolous and impulsive and irresponsible spirits that we allow to run rampant in our community. Um, Let us get back to a place where we, take pride in ourselves. You know what I'm saying? In everything, in every facet of our life, because we have power to not only create the next generation, but to we have a responsibility to create a space for the next generation to be comfortable to be even greater than us. Um, so that being said, man, as I always encourage you, if there's something that you feel God given, that God has given you to do it. Simple as that. We're waiting on you. We need you. There's a remnant of folks that their purpose is attached to the decisions that you make. So it's really big. This is really, really, a big thing when you think about it in that way. So with that being said, man, I'm gonna let you guys go. You guys have an awesome night, man, and I'll see you guys next time. Um, be safe out here during this weekend and past that. All right.